For decades, fitness programming has relied on static documents, inflexible meal plans printed on paper or saved as PDFs, and handed out to populations regardless of their unique biology. These are heuristic models. They operate on general rules of thumb. A standard template assumes every human body processes energy the exact same way, ignoring the metabolic variance that exists between individuals. To fix this, we treat nutrition as a computational optimization problem, where every biological input is a variable. When a person loses weight, a static plan becomes obsolete. A dynamic system recalculates the entire equation the second a new variable is introduced. Establishing a biological baseline requires specific initial data: age, height, and body weight. By feeding those raw metrics into an artificial intelligence pipeline, the system generates specific physical protocols based on the user's starting point. It outputs muscle synthesis pathways, targeted feta oxidation systems, governed by a closed-loop data architecture. Stripping away human calculation error replaces the intuitive approach to nutrition with applied mathematics. This is the input matrix of the AI software. The pipeline begins by ingesting an array of user data to define the boundaries of the plan. The biological inputs, age, height, and weight, aggregate to map out the current physiological state of the user. This data generates a basal metabolic rate, or BMR. This is the absolute energy floor your body requires just to maintain basic cellular function at rest. By factoring in mechanical output, how much physical activity you do, that BMR is translated into a working total daily energy expenditure. Biology is only half the equation. The system also requests non-biological constraints, specifically a financial budget. This budget acts as a strict computational filter, restricting the algorithm's selection of micronutrients and protein sources to ensure the resulting meal plan is actually affordable. Manually cross-referencing nutritional density with grocery store prices often leads to decision fatigue. The AI filters these economic constraints instantly. A valid computational dietary model must map perfectly to both a user's internal cellular requirements and their external socioeconomic reality. Once the inputs are set, the data moves to the central processing module. Let's isolate the fat loss directive. This metabolic pathway model illustrates how biological fat loss operates strictly as a programmed thermodynamic deficit to trigger lipolysis. The algorithm calculates the exact restriction of calories required, forcing the body to oxidize stored adipose tissue to cover the missing energy. If that energy deficit is calculated too aggressively, the body shifts targets. It begins breaking down muscle tissue for fuel, a process known as catabolism. The AI avoids catabolism by calculating a precise mathematical floor for caloric intake, preventing the body from reaching that state. Arbitrary crash diets ignore this floor, sacrificing metabolic health for immediate temporary drops in scale weight. AI-driven fat loss utilizes precision energy partitioning to force specific tissue oxidation while keeping the wider biological system intact. We see the dashboard switch here from a deficit model to the macronutrient partitioning module, focusing on muscle gain. The primary biochemical requirement for hypertrophy is achieving a positive nitrogen balance, which regulates the mTOR pathway responsible for cell growth. The system analyzes your body weight and calculates the exact daily protein threshold required down to the kilogram. It then dictates a specific meal timing schedule to ensure that positive nitrogen balance is sustained evenly across a full 24-hour cycle. Synthesizing new tissue also demands a strict thermodynamic surplus of energy. You must consume more energy than you burn. The algorithm mathematically balances this caloric surplus to maximize tissue accretion, keeping the excess low enough to prevent adipose spillover. Traditional bulking relies on the heuristic of eating as much food as possible, which rapidly increases fat storage alongside muscle mass. Muscle synthesis is a highly regulated biochemical pathway. Forcing it to operate at maximum efficiency requires computational precision, not a massive excess of random calories. Macronutrients dictate the baseline, but the system can also process advanced metabolic disruptors. Building elite physical protocols requires analyzing endocrinology and blood work as mandatory data inputs. In professional fitness environments, the use of targeted supplements and exogenous hormones is an active variable. The introduction of these pharmacological compounds alters the user's previously established basal metabolic rate. When pharmacological factors are active, the algorithm has to recalculate recovery metrics and baseline protein thresholds to match the newly enhanced physiological state. The AI tracks these shifting biomarkers against established clinical safety ranges, mitigating the physiological risks associated with enhanced training. Relying on anecdotal advice from fitness subcultures for pharmacology leads to severe health risks. Objective data analysis maps exactly what a compound is doing internally. Total biological optimization relies on capturing every active variable, including pharmacology, and calculating its impact within a strict closed data ecosystem. This flowchart maps the complete computational architecture. User inputs feed into the AI, which generates an output, producing user results that feed directly back into the inputs. Traditional diets fail the moment a user loses weight because a lighter body requires a lower BMR. Notice how this system catches that weight change and instantly loops it back to trigger a recalculation. That biological pushback against weight loss is called metabolic adaptation. As you shrink, your body burns less energy to preserve its stores. The dynamic AI loop neutralizes metabolic adaptation by automatically recalculating the required energy deficit in real time. The entire macronutrient profile is reoptimized without any user intervention. By eliminating the friction of manual adjustment, the processor instantly converts new biological realities into updated mathematically rigorous protocols for the very next day. The cycle of manually guessing portion sizes and hoping for the best has been replaced by automated modeling. For dietitians and fitness professionals, leveraging these pipelines allows them to manage complex biological transformations with zero mathematical lag. When nutrition is managed through this architecture, the physiological outcome shifts from a series of approximations to a predictable calculation. The future of human physical optimization belongs entirely to systems that trade heuristic guessing for algorithmic precision.